everybody. Welcome to this week's Spark Live. Taylor is actually in New Orleans. He and his wife, Marilyn, finally got away for their anniversary, and I'll be darned if the guy hadn't actually taken a real vacation, a real break. So anyway, you got me this week. So we're going to be talking about something that I think is pretty interesting. Definitely a game changer for businesses that take the time to really get it set up right. Now, before I get into the topic, I got to say, I knew Taylor was going to be out and this week, and it was going to be all on me. So I was looking at, what am I going to talk about, and needing to do some show research to pull all this together for today. And I was thinking, man, I've just got so much going on. I'm going to have trouble getting all the notes and stuff together. So I thought, what can I do to pull this together faster? And I thought, we've been talking about ChatGPT. Last week we talked about ChatGPT and how it's it's going to be changing things. And I thought, well, I ought to use it. I ought to just see if ChatGPT will take my subject that I'm talking about today and help me generate some notes or an outline that I can, just get the juices going. Now, I wasn't looking for it to completely put together everything that I was going to say, and I'm just going to read the ChatGPT outline to you. That's not what this is. But it was kind of interesting because I used it. I put in the prompt, and I'll see if I've got that up here, what I used. It's not going to load. I'm having trouble on my network today. Oh, it's having high demand too, so it's not going to load. Essentially, so today's subject is how to create a customer referral program. So I just entered in and said, give me a step-by-step process for creating a customer referral program in home services businesses. And it did. It shot back. It gave me 8 step-by-step points and a summary at the bottom. And, some of it was a little bit, not questionable, but just sort of generic. Like, yeah, anybody could have said that. So I told it, I said, I went through the process again and prompted it again with requesting even more information, additional information, specific, and I got real specific about what I was looking for. And then it rewrote what it had given me the first time and gave me a whole new set of facts or steps, rather. And I liked it a little bit better. So then I asked it to summarize into 3 main actions that whole 8-step process that it had given me to, just then. And so it did. It summarized it. It gave me 3 steps. And I thought, well, it's closer. I mean, I kind of like this. And then, so I started looking at the notes and kind of thinking through my own process. I knew what I wanted to say. I just hadn't had a chance to put it all together yet. And so what I came up with today, when we're talking about customer referral and how to create a customer referral program, these are my ideas. I mean, I put it together in my own words, but I got to give credit to ChatGPT. It's kind of my co-host this week. It really shortened the amount of time that the show prep for this week took to bring this about. And it even thought of a couple of things or said things in a specific way that I thought was even better than how I was thinking about it. So it really is a useful tool. It's just to tag on to what we talked about last week. If it's something that you're thinking might be worth playing around with, I kind of think it is as an idea generator, as a way of kind of thinking things through, hearing someone else say it, and then adapting that for your own use and everything else. So we're going to jump into how to create a customer referral program and talk a little bit about it. All right, so keep in mind, as we're going through this conversation and talking about it, there are really 2 different kinds of referral programs that you might think about putting together, and they're slightly different. So as I go through this, I'm going to be kind of generic. about the details so that you can adapt what I'm talking about to either be something that goes after customer referrals or professional referrals, okay? And professional referrals would be other people in home services professions that sort of intersect with what you do, that can be a good source for you downline, down the stream, for leads, for customers. So a good example would be real estate agents are professionals that oftentimes refer, repairs, handyman work, remodels, trash cleanup. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that they can refer. And in the chimney industry, we know that they refer a lot of chimney inspections during the home inspection process. So that can be a great source. And that's a professional lead. One professional can bring you tens, dozens, hundreds even of clients over the course of a year or two. They're definitely worth, talking about when we talk about really programizing, creating a program, an official program for referrals in your business. And we're going to get into what that means and all of that. But, it's a little bit different talking about professional referrals versus customer referrals that are just coming from other happy customers that are just like the people that they're referring. A friend has you do a job, they really liked what you did, they talk to one of their friends down the street who needs the same thing and says, yeah, you ought to call the company that I just used, right? That's a different line. You'll probably get fewer referrals from customers, but they're usually very qualified, very good referral customers. So just to keep that in mind. It's a numbers game, right? Professionals, it takes fewer professionals to get more, you'll get more per professional in terms of referrals than you will from customers. But customers, you have a lot more of them than you do professionals that you partner with or work with. So things to think about as we get into this discussion. Okay, so what we're really talking about here is how to create that program. And this is where ChatGPT came in. I asked for some bullet points to kind of go through it a little bit. And what I ended up coming up with was really oh, Tom's telling me that my video is choppy. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, why I'm having issues with the signal today. Just got a weak Wi-Fi signal, and I'm not sure why, so I apologize if this is a little bit choppy. Okay, this is what I kind of came up with from ChatGPT gave me this list, then it summarized it into 3. I didn't feel like 3 were enough. I really felt like there was kind of a 4th stage or a step, process that you needed to go through in order to really get the program done. And I got clever with it and gave them all, they all start with the same letter D. So that wasn't a ChatGPT thing. That was a Carter GPT thing. So the 4 steps basically of creating your customer referral program: number 1, define; number 2, design; number 3, deploy; number 4, deliver. Okay, now I'm going to unpack every one of those, each one of those as we go through the rest of today's episode, so that you get a really good idea of what's involved in creating that program. Okay, so the first one is defining the program. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's in any kind of a customer referral program, if it's successful, you have to generally, it's best to incentivize the referral, right? Give somebody something for their effort in sending you a valuable new lead, right? That new lead is about to spend money with you in a transaction, and you want to be able to say thank you by giving something of value back to the person who referred that new customer to you. Incentives, that's essentially, you're going to hear me call them incentives. That's what they are. So defining what your incentive is going to be is an important part of creating a successful program. Too many times what we see is businesses that don't give enough of an incentive, and therefore people don't participate in the customer referral program because they don't deem that it's worth their time. They don't get enough out of it to really spend time sending you customers. The other end of that stick is spending way too much or incentivizing, over incentivizing, giving too much away to where it takes you longer to recoup your investment in that new customer that came to you over the course of 2 or 3. Hopefully you'll have them for years, but if they only stay with you 1 year, then maybe kind of a break-even proposition if you give away too much. So finding that balance, knowing your numbers well enough to really design what that incentive number should be. And it doesn't have to be a cash incentive. It could be, other things. I've seen everything from, cash is definitely good. Gift cards, to various area restaurants or retail stores is also very effective. That is kind of a cash thing, but there's some advantages there. I don't know if I'll get into the specifics of a gift card program today because it can get a little bit complicated, but it's definitely something to think about. I've also seen people do things like, if you refer 10 people, then and all 10 of them become customers, then we will give you, certain amount of value of services in return, right? So a free chimney sweep for every 5 people that you refer or something like that. So things like that can work really well too. But deciding what it is for you, what it is that you want to offer is step number 1 in defining what the program is. And number 2, defining what the offer is going to be. You may not want to incentivize certain kinds of business. There may be product lines or services that you offer that just simply are not, the finances of it, the numbers of it don't work out, right? So these would be lesser services that are often add-on services to your main service. I mean, when you roll a truck to a new customer, you're hoping that you're going to be doing a certain amount of business and certain services. These add-ons are nice to haves, but they're not essentially the reason that you roll a truck to a new customer's house. So getting specific about what kind of offer you're making is important to define. Think about it from the numbers perspective, like what is your core offering, or what is the offering that you want to try to get new customer referrals for? Pair that up with your incentive, and you're a good way already into defining your program. So then you need to define program policy, right? How are people going to submit their referral? How are you going to know that they submitted that referral and that it can be claimed by them as a referral? What if you have 2 customers that send the same person to you? Who do you credit that to, right? So you need a policy for understanding how all the mechanics of that referral process works. And it sounds kind of complicated at the front, but if you think it through logically, there's usually pretty good answers for exactly how you're going to deal with that process. Part of the policy also needs to be, how will you incentivize or compensate? How will you pay out on those incentives when people refer to you? Is it going to be on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or a yearly basis? Does it accumulate until it reaches a certain amount and then you pay out? There's some things that you might want to think about there too. That's all part of defining. How do you define what a referral is? Is it a customer that comes to you schedules a free estimate, but then doesn't do any work? Well, I mean, some people would say that's a referral. It's a referred opportunity, but it didn't close and become business. So at what point do you consider crediting that referral to the person who gave it to you, as being official, as marked in the books as this counts as one referral towards your incentive to give us referrals. So, all right, next step in the process is designing the program, okay? And I don't necessarily mean you know, uh, Photoshop and that kind of thing. I'm just talking about designing how it's all going to kind of work, and designing the parts of it that people are going to see in order to understand if it's a program that they want to get involved in, right? So generally that means starting with creating a web page that describes what the opportunity is. Join our customer referral program and get what? So creating a web page on your website that describes the program, that describes what people will get, describes what maybe the referral will get something as well. They're the person who's been referred, the new customer coming in, do they get a perk too? Sometimes that sort of altruism is a big deal for people who are referring. They don't necessarily want anything out of the deal. They just want to give something really nice to a friend of theirs. And if they refer a friend to you and they get, that friend gets 30% off, on a certain offer, then, that could be great for their friend. So thinking about those two. All right, then there's you're going to be promoting this, right? You don't just want to have a customer referral program that's just attached and locked onto the website and nobody ever talks about it, nobody ever discusses it, nobody ever signs anyone up to it or anything else. You got to promote it, which means that the techs in the field need to be talking it up with customers when they're in front of them. You're going to need some kind of leave behind for the customer to give to, for the tech to give to the customer so that they understand what the program is. You're going to have to design things like the promotional emails that go out to your customer list, or maybe they're text messages if you do text marketing, social media, talking about it there and giving people an opportunity to learn about the program through your social media activity. So things like that. Then creating the actual system, the referral system. And what I mean by that is, whether it's a ledger that keeps track of the name of the referee, the name of the referral, the date that it was referred, and how much it ended up being worth in your business in order for it to count toward the incentive. So, some kind of system. A ledger is, the simplest system that you could create, spreadsheet. But there are more complicated and more complex ways of doing that, and certainly more convenient ways and easier ways to do it. You could talk to us about Customer-Matic. You could talk to us, about helping with some technology that kind of goes into that. There's some other platforms available out there too for customer referral programs, but you'll want to look into that because you'll need a system. Then you'll also, if that system it needs to include tracking. So not only tracking to know who referred who and how much was that worth, but also tracking, like long-term, what kinds of business is coming from your efforts, what are the percentages and things to help you understand kind of the business data behind your program to find out just how effective it really is. So that's the design part of the program, right? Once you've got all that done and designed, now it's time to deploy. Okay, and this is where you roll it out for the first time. You tell customers about it for the first time. The leave behind little pamphlets or flyers are printed. The technicians have them. The technicians are trained on how to talk to customers about it and incentivize their participation in the program. Maybe you need to incentivize your technicians, so however you decide, now you're deploying that out into the world. You're working with your marketing company to get a campaign together to email customers, let them all know about it. The system is tested, it's built and working. Everything is the way that it needs to be. Step number one in deploying is as you deploy, you need to make sure that there is someone in charge of administering your customer referral program. That's usually an employee, could be a spouse, whoever it is for you. They need to be clear about how this program is structured, what the rules of it are, what the policies are, and everything else, and then they have the system and access to the system and an understanding of how to use it so that they can administer the program on your behalf. And really it's a very small amount of time, but that person needs to be close enough in your business that they can track those things and implement and run the program for you using the tools that you've decided to run it with. So put someone in charge. They have to know they're in charge of it. They have to know it's part of their job. They have to know that you're serious about this program as part of your business model, and running it with you. So that's important. Then you're going to be promoting the program. Okay, this is everywhere you get a chance to talk about it. It's something that is worth talking about. Then you're going to be tracking the results. Finding out exactly how well it's worked. How much money did it cost you in incentives versus how much money you got in return. Okay, so the return on that investment is one of the big numbers that you want to track. If the numbers aren't working well, it may be that you need to adjust those numbers a little bit in order to make it work better for you. One of the things I'll say is in marketing, it's very easy to think of how much a customer is worth as only being related to the first transaction that you have with that customer. You do a job for them, they pay you for that, and you think that's what that customer is worth. But it really is worth thinking about a loyal customer that you have for years and years and years, that you serve on an every year basis or every other year basis. If you're in the kind of business that has repeat product and service nature that is repeatable with those same customers, and you're building a book of business of loyal customers that you service over and over again, you need to think about the lifetime value of that customer, not just the one-time value of that customer. And that's important because it can change your numbers a little bit. It is very common, I will say, in some of these retail referral programs, like for cell phone service or I can't think of any other examples offhand, but I know in the cellular industry, they have referral programs, and it's often the case that they give away or they incentivize it so heavily for the person doing the referring that they don't make enough in the first year with a new customer to even pay for the incentive that it took to get that new customer. Okay, it's not really a loss leader. They just are looking further out than 1 year. Usually somewhere around 18 months to 2 years, they're getting a return, but they're willing to look out beyond that for those first transactions or that first time period. So run your numbers and figure out kind of where you sit in your industry and decide what you can afford to do, but then be willing, you've got to track it. Otherwise you don't know if your program is being run successful and creating what it needs to create for the time that it takes to run it, okay? All right, lastly, we are on to delivering. Now you've got to deliver on the program. And this is just business, right? You can't run a special and then not give people, when they claim the special, not give them the discount or whatever it is that you told them you would give them. And this is a point of law, okay? If you're running a customer referral program and you're telling them that you'll give them $100 for every new person they bring to you, and then you do business with the person they brought to you, but you fail to pay that referral, incentive, $100, then, they're gonna be like pressuring you to make good on the promise that you made. It's false and misleading advertising to say you have a program and then not honor the terms of the policies of the program. So you've got to deliver on it. You've got to do what you said you would do. And that's why you track. That's why you have a system in place to keep, all of that working for you so that it's easy to keep on top of. This is basically it in a nutshell. Sorry. Let me look at what Chuck said here. Yeah, knowing the potential lifetime value of a client, rewarding on a graduated scale based on the type or number of referrals. Also think of a bundle service, value added service, next annual chimney inspection, get a 50% discount on dry vent cleaning, then forward schedule the dry vent with the next year's chimney. Now it's a twofer from then on. So yeah, staging it like that. there's a lot of different creative ways to get people in, and merchandising it that way is what marketers really try to think about doing. And it's all based on lifetime value of the client. It's not based on that one particular transaction. That's the power of knowing what a client is worth to you and your business over time. And understanding that can really help you create an incentive that is pretty compelling. It could be really lucrative for your referral partners. Now, let me talk about some of the examples that I've witnessed, okay, in different industries. I know a business owner in the carpet cleaning industry who runs a customer referral program that makes him an additional $3 million a year, okay? That's significant. I mean, that's a successful customer referral program, wouldn't you agree? But he runs it. I mean, he trains his in-home technicians relentlessly on how to present the opportunity to the customer so that they get excited about how much they could make from referrals. And they go into areas that were all, these master plan developments that all have carpet of the same age or whatever, and he's able to line up entire streets. One customer who's referring the rest of his neighbors on that street, and it can make a significant chunk of change for him. $3 million extra a year in revenue from a referral program that really doesn't cost him, in terms of the administration of it, a whole lot. Now, he does have incentives and things that he pays out for that, so he has to include that in his ROI calculations, but that's pretty significant. I know technicians that make over $10,000 additional every year by signing up professionals, okay? So going out and finding real estate agents, finding other contractor buddies of theirs and whatever that can refer business to them. They pay out on that, but the technician gets a bump that can add up to over 5 figures. So again, a significant source of revenue for an enterprising technician who's looking at this, the right way. I know customers that, I know programs that pay out over close to 6 figures for some of them to professional referral in their professional referral program. That I said customers, I meant professionals who are paid out close to 6 figures from some of the vendors that they're participating in their customer referral program because it's just so lucrative for them. And they're all day long, they're in front of people that need the services of this vendor that they're partnered with for referrals. It costs them nothing. And it's the easiest sell in the world to say, yeah, you need this, and you're asking me already who I use. Let me refer you to this company that does a great job. And they're making $100 every time. They do this day after day after day, sometimes 5 or 6 times a day, and it adds up. It's like a whole nother paycheck for these professionals just in referring. But what that adds up to, they're paying this guy $100,000 a year to be basically an outside salesperson, but it's bringing them in millions of dollars of additional business. So a customer referral program is it's a completely legitimate strategy for increasing your business, 15, 20, 25, 30% by getting that going and implementing it. So the real keys to making it work: be serious about it and let everybody in your business, all your employees and all your customers know how serious you are about it. And number 2, make sure that it's administered faithfully and ethically and above board, so that there's no question at all about how well it's running and how well it's doing. Tout the successes. When customers are getting paid out a lot, make that a part of the pitch. Mrs. Smith, would you like to be a part of our referral program? Other customers like you that refer us business are making $700 a month extra just by referring people in their circle. Things like that can really incentivize. What person is thinking, what can I do working from home that can make me some extra part-time money? Well, a referral program is actually a really good way. And there are people that do nothing but join referral programs because they have enough of a big sphere of influence and a circle of friends, through church or through civic organizations or whatever, where they have opportunities to refer on a regular basis, and they make a lot of money doing it. That's their job. That's what they do. So a referral program is actually a really good thing, and I hope I've sold you on it. I hope it's something that you'll consider doing. If you have questions about it, if you want to talk to us about how we would structure it, just run ideas by us or whatever, or certainly talk to us about Customer-Matic and how it can be a part of the system to track and manage the payouts and all of that, then certainly talk to us about that. I'm happy to chat. I'm going to leave it there for this week. Just a reminder that Spark Live is released after the live stream as a podcast. You can find it audio and video formats on all the places on your screen there: Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, etc. Next week, Taylor will be back, and we will be talking about guerrilla marketing. You remember the book years and years ago, decades maybe even. And it was written during kind of a downtime in the U.S. economy. We're thinking, we're looking at what's going on, and we want to ask the question and answer the question: is it time, again, for some good old-fashioned guerrilla marketing? So I hope you'll tune in next week as we talk about that. And I might have a question here. Let me just look. Yeah, Chuck just said it. In today's high inflation rate, people are more ready to listen to these referral paybacks. Absolutely. This is during tight, constricted financial times, people start couponing, people start looking for little bumps and things that they can get that help ease their financial burdens without disrupting their life a whole lot as they go about the process of figuring out how to make ends meet. So a referral program could be a great source of that if you find the right people and if you incentivize them well. So we'll leave it on that note. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.